What up, YouTube fans? This is Chris Neves' Dream. I would like to talk to you about mothers. Now, in the Bible, it says, honor thy mother and father, which is great. But in my case, it didn't turn out so well. Because, first of all, I have an absentee dad that I never knew him, I only heard of him. The only way I heard of him is because my mother had a schoolgirl crush, which she threw it in my face every chance she got. And then it didn't help when he dumped her that she got with this jerk of a man who was on welfare, who expected my grandfather to buy him a car, who lived with his mom till he was 24. Absolutely nothing wrong with him physically. Would call me a cripple, would call me fat, would call me useless, and was there the day I was born, and would make me cry and throw me in bed, literally. And then when he had my brothers and sisters, which was his kids, and I wasn't his kid, I was the broken one, and God forbid he would have a kid that's disabled. When we would fight as children, and I was still a kid too, I was about 8 or 7. When we would get into fights, he would call me asshole. A little kid, he would call me. I think my mother was dick blinded, to be quite honest. But then, from what people used to tell me when I was a kid, was that she wanted to party. That's why she left me with my grandmother. I never lived with her. She was a young girl, but guess what? She was old enough to make her own decisions. She wound up getting an apartment. She wound up getting a job for the post office. Why didn't she take me? As the family started filling up, my stepfather made sure he had enough kids so I could be forgotten. Don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to diss my own family just to get recognition. It's just that I wanted us always to be a part of something. I wanted to feel part, but instead I felt excluded and unincluded. And he would go out of his way to make me feel that way, and so would she. When they were birthday kitty parties when I was still a kid, you see, my grandmother and grandfather are very old and old school, and they're not from this country, so they think everything's bad. My mother and stepfather would come with the other kids, brag about what family party they're going to, and when Ma said no, meaning my grandma, they shrugged their shoulders and said, well, Ma said no. It doesn't matter what the fuck Ma said. Who spit me out? Who's supposed to be the mom? But God forbid if she had a fight with one of my aunts and uncles, she would pull us aside, threaten us, make us feel scared. And then if they try to take me outside, she would say, oh, that's my son, I gave birth to him. But when it came time for her to do shit, she didn't do it. As a teenager, they had paperwork to go to this doctor, dentist, eye doctor, every year physical. She never took me, and my grandparents were getting older at the time. And she only took me to the primary doctor, which, if I had problem with my teeth, how a primary doctor gonna help me? I needed therapy after I graduated high school. She said she went to the movies because she has her life to live. When she was having my baby sister, the last one, I called her up crying. I said, Mommy, please, my back is hurting me. I have a scoliosis, I have cerebral palsy, and I'm a quadriplegic. And she told me, you're not the only child I had. So I got mad, and I told her, nobody told you to have kids like rabbits. Yeah, I know the religious thing is to honor your mother, but what am I, a piece of shit? Should I feel bad that somebody gave birth to me that don't even care? There's home attendants that abuse me, and she took their side. There's friends of hers that cursed me out and she took their side. She made sure all the kids was in baseball, basketball, ballet. I would just sit at home with my grandmother if my aunts and uncles didn't take me nowhere, and I was still a kid. She wouldn't even get me involved in sports. She never even tried. And I'm just saying, if you're supposed to honor that father, what about your disabled and sick child? Doesn't that matter? Doesn't I matter? Don't I matter as a person? Sometimes I wonder about my self-worth. Sometimes I feel as though God blessed my brothers and sisters better than me. Sometimes I wish I had the opportunity to be normal, to feel normal. You know, she made me feel so unappreciated and not worth anything. If something that didn't look right, or if I wanted to stay, like right now I'm in college and I've been there for a while, but I want to stay because right now the economy's not good, and regular school was kicking my ass. And plus, you know, with a person like me on SSI, you can't really make that much money and they take away your check. So I need something to give me a purpose to get up in the morning. I don't want to be in the house all the time. So, you know, that's mental stipulation for up here. I know I didn't get my degree, but I'm getting something out of it. You know, when she realized that I was in trouble and I tried to make up with her, she kept throwing things in my face and made it seem like it was my fault. Um, every time I tried to tell her about my stepfather, she didn't want to hear it. She said it was the past. But then she would throw stuff in my face, and I'm like, isn't that the past also? The kids straight up ignored me and act like they didn't even know who I was because I spent years away from them. But they're not that much younger than me, so it's not like they were an infant and they didn't know who I was. My sister even embarrassed me in the bank. I didn't even feel welcome in my own mother's house. That's the worst thing. I just will never feel equal to any one of them. And I just hope someday I could have peace within myself. Not with my mother, peace within myself, because I feel not worth anything. And I feel like maybe I should have never been born. I don't know. But this is just to show you that sometimes children don't ask to be born. And it's a shame because a lot of people want to have kids like my aunt, you know? And to be honest with you, she never had a kid, but she raised her stepson. But guess what? She knows a lot more about kids than my mother does. She has no instinct. She had no, you know, motherly instinct whatsoever. She left everything on my stepfather. Maybe that, whatever. But I just want to say, people out there in the world, you two people, pray for me, and I love all you guys, and now you know what the deal is.